So Justice League action.
No, it's great because it's hard to describe because that's why I'm glad they showed the clip of it today, because it's definitely a Justice League action show. It's got all the action and the drama of a Justice League episode. But those characters, all of the characters, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, there's always that sort of temptation to tweak them a little bit. You tweak them just a little bit and they can really become funny.
Right.
If they're put in a different situation. There's a lot of humor there. But in the animated series, we never really explored that because it was pure drama.
Right.
Well, this one they do explore that. Mm-hmm. So in each episode there might be 90% action and drama, but then there's 10% of a very humorous take on the character. Which I think is great. And I think the audience, in the screening now, the audience reacted incredibly because people have always felt that way about these characters. There's always been that kind of undercurrent of, yeah, Batman's cool, he's great, but come on, he's a little crazy, So there's a little bit of, it's a kind of an updated attitude towards those superheroes that takes into account the objectivity you would have today towards those characters. You know what I mean? Right. Without losing the drama and the action of these shows, there's a little bit of a seriously, kind of attitude about them, which is fun.
Do you think it'll stay on that course, or might it veer more to even more humor?
No, they're very, very conscious of the fact that that's something they can just dabble in.
Okay, so not Teen
They don't want it to become Teen Titans.
Right, yeah.
They don't want it to become a parody. This is still an action show and an adventure show, but there's just, I think it's sort of refreshing that there's a little funny tweak to the characters because it makes them more human.
Yeah.
Is it tonal whiplash to go from Killing Joke to this?
Actually, that is true because Killing Joke was so dark, and was really a throwback to the original Batman the Animated Show. I mean, that was really a dark film, and Mark is so wonderful in it. He's so great in it. And it's a real psychodrama because Batman kind of goes off the edge a little bit too in wrestling with the Joker. So for me, for an actor, it was just so much fun. Actors love to get the feeling that they're stretching a little bit. You're not just doing the same familiar territory you've known for so long. It's fun when they throw you some curve. And so for me, it was a lot of fun to do that. Did that with Mark. And, Mark and I, we were working together for 24 years. And I've said to him, it's almost like you define me and I define you. Batman and Joker are like the yin and yang of each other. They really do define. I wouldn't be my darkness without his crazy light, and he wouldn't be his crazy light without my darkness. So I love that about those two characters, and he's such a generous actor to work with. He's so easy. He gives so much that you have so much to work with. And he's one of those actors that is so great to work with because they understand that they're going to be better if you're better. They want you to be better because they know you'll give them more. So he feeds me so much, and I in turn feed him. And luckily, the new group of actors they put together for this show, for the Justice League action, is a similar group. I mean, Dietrich Bader is fantastic. James Woods. I mean, it's an amazing cast. I think a lot of it's because everyone wants to do animation now. Everyone wants to. So they can get any actors they want. So they get these incredible actors. I mean, Cloris Leachman is in it. I couldn't believe it. And the day I worked with her, I said, I've never forgotten you from the Last Picture Show. I said, that was one of the most heartbreaking performances I've ever seen. And her eyes lit up. And she said, no one ever mentions that anymore. She said, I can't believe you saw that. I said, saw it? I said, it was like a landmark film, and it's a beautiful, heartbreaking performance. sort of have her in this. They've got great actors in this.
I want to talk about, you mentioned the differences of the tone. You played basically different versions of Batman, from the animated series to like Killing Joke in the movies. And this now, do you approach it as the same characters with different personalities, or is it different versions of it?
No, I'd love to be able to say, that I always tweak it differently. But the trick I have found with the character is the consistency. You have to be consistent because the audience, Batman's audience, is fanatically devoted. They know more about him than I do. They know everything about Batman, and they have a very personal investment in the relationship with the character because they grew up with the character. And if I do anything that even sounds slightly inauthentic, they'll nail it. They can hear it. Because your ears, you can hear inconsistency and you can hear inauthenticity faster than you can see it. You can hear when someone's lying to you faster than you can see that they're lying. So if I'm not being completely authentic with the character, I'll be nailed. And that's been the real trick for me for 24 years. Not that I'm any older, but 24 years has been to be consistent, to keep it fresh. And that, that's the big trick. I'm a stage actor. I trained at Juilliard. That's my background, is the theater. That's the big trick in stage acting, is you find the performance, but then making it believable each time, 8 times a week, that it's the first time you've done it. You have to make it fresh and new every night, 8 times a week. And you do that. I did Death Trap for over a year. You do that for over a year. They say, how do you keep that fresh? Well, that's just part of the trick of being a stage actor. You have to really keep each moment fresh. So for me, some of the thing of playing Batman has been to draw on those theater experiences of just keeping it fresh, keeping it alive, being true to the character. Because he's a complicated character. He's he's like a tragic Greek arc hero. He's the arc of Batman is so enormous, which is why he's resonated for 75 years. It's the largest franchise in Hollywood. The characters it's the biggest franchise character. There's a reason he's got the audience he does. It's such a complicated psychological portrait of a tortured man and taking that experience and turning it into something good.
Have you grown to have a nuanced feeling about Batman over time, or do you just love the character more and more as the time goes by?
I never get tired of it. I never get tired of it. He's a very challenging guy because he's never reconciled himself to his own demons. And we all have demons. All of us. We all have a public face and a private face. Batman's are so extreme, He's just visualized them and he embodies them so completely. But we all do. We all have dark secrets. So I love that about him. People ask me in interviews sometimes what other superhero I would want to play. And I honestly always say, who else would you want to play? Where would you go after doing Batman? He is the most complicated, the most fulfilling character to play. Because you get to play all those dark colors and all those bright high colors. He's a great character.
You mentioned I don't know Juilliard. A friend of mine, Carrie Preston. Do you know her? Did you know her? She's probably around the same time.
Probably a little old.
She's around.
I was there with Chris Reeve and Robin Williams and Mandy Patinkin.
Okay. Oh, wow.
I'm a little older.
That's all right.
Very youthful.
But when a friend of mine actually besides her,
Kelsey Grammer was in my
okay, great.
And Robin.
When you're approaching the Batman character, because you're a classically trained actor, and people are like, oh, it's silly, it's Batman, but do you approach it?
Absolutely. You approach every character as if it's
Shakespeare,
Hamlet.
Yeah.
You do, and he is Hamlet. his parents got killed. I mean, he's avenging his parents' death. He's living in the shade, in the dark, in the shadows. He's very much a Hamlet-like character. He's Orestes. He's all those Greek, those great. What did Joseph Campbell called it? The arc of the hero. It's that classic arc of a hero being tortured by life, tested by fire, emerging like a phoenix, and reformed. It's been rewritten over and over again for thousands of years. It's that classic journey. That he's the embodiment of it for our culture. So yeah, you approach it like you would Orestes, like you would Achilles, like you would Hamlet, like you would any of the classic characters. And I've played Orestes.
Nice.
I see at the panel some discussion about Batman having this relationship with Booster Gold, or Booster sees him as a father figure. You talked about working with Mark Hamill and scenes. What's it like working with Dieter as Booster Gold?
Well, interestingly, and I wish I had mentioned this in the panel, Dieter is a lot like Mark in that he's a big kid when he gets behind the microphone, and he's very improvisational, and he's very it's just like his mind opens up and this incredibly colorful, elaborate place gets explored. So it's fun to record with him, a lot of fun to record with him, and he's very generous like Mark is. Actors like that are just a joy to work with. You know, we've ended up becoming friends. I'm friends with his family now. He's a very talented guy and a very generous guy. You know, actors are just like people. There are generous ones, selfish ones, nasty ones, friendly ones. You know, there are all kinds of actors. I love working with generous actors. They make my life so much easier, and they make it all a joy. And it can be a joy, you know. But I've also worked with some real jerks, and they can make it hell on earth, you know.